Racial disparities exist when it comes to public systems such as healthcare, the justice system, and public education. There are even systematic and designed efforts to hold different standards for marginalized communities when it comes to policies on pollution and quality of life. This is called environmental racism.
Environmental racism is inequity that is deeply embedded within companies and social institutions that pursue profit or so-called progress at the expense of minoritized communities and the environment. For example, in the United States, the percentage of African Americans living within zones of chemical and waste facilities is 75% greater than the nation as a whole.
In Flint, Michigan, which is 56% African American, the residents have been subjected to toxins dumped in their water supply, the Flint River. The water was found to have high levels of lead and remnants of the chemicals that were used to disinfect it. Actions that could have been taken to protect those citizens and further prevent contamination to their water supply were not taken by those that had the knowledge and power to do so. Even now, it's only been public outrage and national publicity that has forced these powers to act.
Another example is in South Durban, South Africa, where apartheid politics and spatial planning have deliberately placed petroleum industries close to Black African communities, which puts those residents at risk.
There are many documented cases of economically privileged nations shipping their industrial waste to economically disadvantaged nations. As a result, these nations who have poorer health infrastructure are forced to face serious health risks.
This pattern of environmental degradation and impoverishment bleeds into other social structures in these communities. New businesses are unwilling to invest in such hazardous areas, and as a result, there are few tax dollars available to update infrastructure in these areas. Even resources as mundane as grocery stores decline rapidly. These communities are made up of individuals who are forced to be economically dependent on these hazardous facilities. Even if they're aware of the health risks that they're facing, they just may not have enough money to relocate, or they might have a deep-rooted history and social relationship with the geographic location.
One mechanism by which environmental racism persists is its institutional nature removes responsibility from any one person. This is how we do things, how we've always done things. We're checking off these boxes, and no one person's single action can be identified as a causing factor in most cases. However, sustaining our ignorance that environmental racism exists, despite the mountains of evidence about the damage it does to communities, prevents us from ever changing those policies and those procedures that perpetuate it.
The first step in reversing the inequities created by environmental racism is to acknowledge that it exists. Take notice, question the authorities, and demand that they revise policies and procedures that allow for such inhumane decisions to be made. Encourage innovations to prevent chemical byproducts from polluting the environment, and make sure that those that are at risk have a seat at the table when these decisions are being made.
Lastly, hold those in power responsible and accountable for the damage that has been done, that might ever be done. This should be part of our law. Although immediately the consequences of environmental racism affect the impoverished, preventing environmental racism will benefit everybody.